Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your guest co-host, Dravi. Today, we're going to be talking about UFC Paris. Benoit Saint Denis versus Renato Moicano. And my friends, it's going down this Saturday night live at the Accor Arena in Paris, France. Got 14 fights on the card, a couple with title implications, some up-and-coming prospects, lots of good fights to look out for. Plus, if last France card was any indication, the Paris fans always bring it. So, Dravi, normally here's the point where I'd say let's get down to business, but unfortunately, I have to apologize to the fans. They sent me the letter, guys. They sent me the letter. I can no longer use that song or the Scarface song, but fear not. I'm already in touch with some artists to get some good intro music, and that is in the same vein as those songs that we all love. So, Dravi, main event of the evening in the lightweight division. We got Renato Moicano. He's 19-5-1, taking on Benoit Saint Denis, who's 13-2. Not 13-12, 13-2. And currently, they got it. Benoit Saint Denis minus 270. The comeback on Renato Moicano is plus 230. So I'm going to let you take this one first. I mean, both guys have won 5 of their last 6 fights, and both guys are super hungry to get into that top 10. They've paid dues, and here they are in a main event. Do you agree with the odds, and what's your breakdown of the matchup?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. BSD is a guy that I've backed for his run to the top 15. Always been high on the guy. He's a hard worker. He's a strong dude. He's just a madman. We've seen it in his debut, right? The Moises fight, for example, he really wants to win. And there's something some of these fighters doesn't have, no matter how good they are. Sometimes they can quit and stuff like that. I know if you look only on the last fight, he got knocked out against Dustin Poirier, but historically, BSD is someone who was very hard to knock out. So I like the guy grappling. He's very strong. He does make some mistakes in the grappling, but he's super strong. Good wrestling. He used to be a military, so he knows how to fight. That's in his blood. There's also a thing to dislike about Benoit to at a big price like that against a good guy. And Moicano is obviously he doesn't have good striking defense. He's willing to put himself in danger. That's why we love him. But that's also bring a lot of volatility to the matchup, and that's why sometimes with these big price tag, we're talking minus 270 right now. It's not really a price I want to get involved in personally. Is he fun to watch? Yes. Do I think he's going to win? Yeah. I think the difference in the matchup is we've seen Moicano, even though he's a good grappler, we've seen him getting taken down in control on the ground with guys like RDA. To his credit, he took this fight on 5 days' notice and he went 5 rounds. So all credit to him.
And he won the last round.
Yeah, it was my next point. I mean, he took a beating and he still managed to win the last round. I said Ben was a dog, but Moicano was also a dog, right? He's someone that can get knocked out, but he's going to be hard to finish if he doesn't get put out. So, and I'm kind of excited to see how the grappling is going to play out because Moicano is a very good grappler, very good back take. A funny thing is like we've seen Poirier try to go for a lot of guillotine against Benoit. I was trying to see if Moicano, because like I said, he's a very good grappler, if he had any guillotine or something. But I think all of his submission or rear naked choke, that's really his move, right? He loves to take the back and end the fight that way. Funny fact, I think he got like his first knockout last time out against Turner, which was, it was, he got basically knocked out in Turner after the Bobby Green fight. It looked like he wanted to have the walk-off KO, and Moicano was still there, and he finished him, make him quit. So the way I see this fight playing out is I think on the feet, it can be competitive. I think at distance, Moicano's the more technical striker. He has more tools, he's the longer guy, and he's doing a good job winning minutes at distance normally, even though he's a grappler. The thing that I struggle with is I don't see a matchup where BSD doesn't pressure and doesn't go in the inside. And when he does, I think he can crack Moicano bad, and I think he can hurt him. The first kicks that Turner threw, he hurt Moicano with a body kick. We know BSD has some nasty body kicks, so I think that's going to be there for him. We've seen Moicano getting hurt by head kicks against like RDA and stuff like that. So BSD, good head kicks, good body kicks, and he's going to pressure him, and he can take him down. He can win minutes on top, and he has good ground and pound to finish him. I don't think he's going to submit Moicano, but I'm going to predict him to win by TKO. Maybe Moicano can make it a fight, and go into the later rounds, but it's the first 5 rounders for BSD. Moicano has went for 5 rounds before, but yeah, I don't like the price though. Like I said, at the end of the day, we're betting number, and he's minus 270. I think there's some angle on this fight. I think he's going to win by KO. The KO is plus money. It's not bad. And fight doesn't go as minus 600. Not, it doesn't interest me. But yeah, I'm going to pick BSD to win this fight by KO here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not holding the Dustin Poirier fight against Benoit Saint Denis at all. I mean, when you go from fighting Matt Frevola to, a legend, literally the man with the most knockouts in lightweight history and some of the most knockouts in UFC history, if you include Poirier's featherweight run. So, like, getting knocked out by a legendary knockout artist, like, does not mean that you're going to get knocked out by Moicano, who's never knocked anyone out. And you said the Turner fight. I mean, that was more Turner, covering up from being overwhelmed. That wasn't actually a knockout. But to give Moicano some credit, this is a man that went 3 rounds with Calvin Kattar, and y'all have never seen that fight, might be like, oh, so what, he backpacked him for 3 rounds? Nah, he whooped Kattar's ass standing. Like, he had some nasty combinations. He ripped to the body hard with his kicks. Like, it's just, what's interesting about this, I actually heard a podcast with Aljamain Sterling and Jamal Hill and Nazim Sadikov talk about this fight, and they were mentioning how Benoit Saint Denis likes to, fight at a ridiculous, kind of unsustainable pace, right? And I agree with that. He goes balls to the wall early, and he wants to get you tired. If he's tired, that means that you're going to be tired too. The thing about it is Moicano also likes to slow fights down, kind of like in the Turner fight. So that makes this super intriguing for me. And then one battle within the battle that I'm very, very intrigued about is that Benoit Saint Denis has one of the most underrated butterfly games in the lightweight division. Like, his butterfly sweeps from bottom are nasty. Like, he's been taken down several times, and like against Matt Frevola, who is a decent wrestler, man. I mean, like a good scrambler, a good grappler. Like, Benoit Saint Denis straight up butterfly swept him, man. And but to counter that, in Moicano's last fight, Jalen had him in that butterfly guard as well. But obviously Jalen doesn't have the jiu-jitsu that someone like Moicano does. But excuse me, Jalen doesn't have the jiu-jitsu that someone like Benoit Saint Denis does, is what I meant to say. But when Jalen had Moicano in the butterfly guard, like, Moicano cleared those butterfly hooks so fast and went to mount, dude. Like, it was nothing. And then the whole talk about, oh, Jalen had the win right there, and then he walked off. Firstly, whether that's true or not, what we can all agree on is Jalen showed like super low fight IQ, because there is still a chance that he would have jumped in his guard, and maybe Moicano would be able to kind of hold on to him, control his posture and avoid getting knocked out. Or there's the possibility that Turner goes in there and lands those 2 follow-up shots and puts him out cold. So we'll never know how that fight would have turned out. But one thing we do know is if Moicano is conscious, look, he's got heart, man, and he's going to try. So yeah, this is a tough one for me, because I still got a lot of questions about Benoit Saint Denis. I don't have any questions about the heart of Saint Denis, the physicality, the brute strength, the will to win, the toughness. I don't have any questions about that. Like, I know the guy's a physical specimen. I know he can knock you out with hands, with feet. He can submit guys, like butterfly sweeps. Like I said, like, there's a lot to like about him, but there's a lot to like about Moicano too. Like, I really like everything about Moicano except his chin. So what kind of chance do you give Benoit to come out here and knock him out? Because, like, I find it hard to see like Moicano maybe get caught with like a high kick, but I can definitely see him get caught with hands too. And then the possibility of Benoit submitting Moicano. Moicano's got to be so beat up to tap out to Benoit Saint Denis. So it's just a tough one for me to call, because like you were saying, Benoit's never been 5 rounds before, and it's not the fact that he's never been 5 rounds before that's the issue, because there's tons of guys that at one point had never been 5 rounds, and then they went 5 rounds and they were completely fine. It's more of the fact that you know, kind of like I was talking about with Manuel Torres last week, when you fight at like, when you throw 100% into every shot and he just fights at a pace that's simply unsustainable. So I'm curious if Benoit is going to come in here, you know, after that big L to Poirier, kind of slow things down a little bit, or is he going to do what got him to the dance and just try to take out Moicano right away? That's kind of like my line of thinking. So yeah, as a pure pick, sure, I'll go with Moicano. I mean, with Benoit to come out here, maybe get that early finish, but Moicano season, man. Moicano's paid dues, and this could get interesting down the stretch. Now, co-main event of the evening in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Nassourdine Imavov. He's 14-4, taking on Brendan Allen, who's 24-5. Currently, they got it. Nassourdine Imavov minus 210. The comeback on Brendan Allen is plus 180. So Brendan Allen, he's actually got, besides like the champ, Dricus du Plessis, he's got the longest win streak in the middleweight division. I think we're talking what, a 7-fight win streak, something like that. So, and then Nassourdine Imavov, he's always been a really talented guy, but ever since that Strickland fight, I truly do believe he's turned a corner. But the way that I see this fight going down is it all comes down to the distance and range that it's played at, and who's on the front foot and who's on the back foot. Because Imavov on the front foot is a completely different guy than Imavov on the back foot. It's like literally a tale of two different fighters. If you get Imavov going backwards, you can pin him up against the fence, start to kind of make it a dirty fight. Like, he does not like that at all. But if you back up against Imavov, oh my God, he is incredibly dangerous with his long range strikes. And I do got to give him credit. He has gone a little bit better at the dirty boxing up close, but historically speaking, his biggest weakness is when you're able to close the distance on him and make it that dirty fight, even if you can't get the takedowns, just the threat of the takedowns. But yeah, like I said, you do have to be careful about certain things. Like, he did land some nice elbows off the break in that last fight, which was a big improvement that I've been looking to see, because like lesser guys than Brendan Allen have taken down Imavov. And we have to bring all these points up because we're dealing with a plus 190. Did I mention the odds yet? Yeah, plus 180 on Brendan Allen, but in some books I see plus 190 on DraftKings. So like, when you're talking in these terms about a guy who's on the longest win streak in the division, who can win a fight anywhere, on the feet, you know, on the ground, 5-round decisions, whatever the case may be, I need all my bases covered on the favorite, and I just don't have that here. Like, I feel like, look, are there a lot of things to be worried about with Brendan Allen? Like, does he sometimes fuck around and kind of make some bonehead mistakes? Sure. Is he sometimes defensively irresponsible? Yes. But man, he is super dangerous. He's got nasty body kicks. When he takes your back, forget about it. And he's so experienced, has paid dues, not just in the UFC, outside the UFC. He went 5 rounds with Fluffy and Eric Anders outside the UFC. Like, this is a dude who has, you know, had as long of a career as you can have for being as young as he is. You know, he's the younger guy here, which is crazy because Imavov seems like the up and coming prospect, right? Brendan Allen's younger. So I think that at range, you know, Brendan's got a lot to be worried about. But man, if he can make this a dirty, grimy fight, I think he's going to perform a lot better than that plus 190 indicates. And on a guy like this that's on the cusp of a title shot, I think I'm willing to roll the dice. Like, people might bring up the Curtis fight, and you should. You know, that was the look we got of 5 rounds in the UFC. But I also think that scenario was completely different. He was a big favorite there. There was a lot of pressure on him, and not only in terms of the odds, but in terms of his place in the rankings. Like, Brendan Allen's a guy who's on like a title run right now, or at least a top 10 run, and Chris Curtis is unranked, and like, he just risked his ranking, like taking that fight against Chris Curtis as a big favorite. He just had a lot to lose, and that's a super tough matchup for him because Curtis has insane takedown defense, and he had to overcome the mental hurdle of, hey, this guy's knocked me out before. Whereas here against Imavov's the one that's got all the pressure. You're fighting in France. Brendan Allen's the underdog here. Like, I like Brendan Allen in the underdog role. Like I said, I know he does some stupid shit from time to time, and there's questionable decision making, but the guy's a winner. The guy's seasoned, and I can afford a few mistakes here and there at plus 190. So I'm rolling the dice, man. I'm going Brendan Allen to come out here and rear naked choke Imavov, but I'm not married to the outcome. I'm more married to taking a shot at these odds plus 190 on Brendan Allen money line.
Yeah, it's one of the fight I'm the most excited about on the card. You know, like you said, title implication on the line with this one. I think Imavov is ranked number 3 and Allen is like number 5 or something. So there's like the winner of this fight is gonna fight maybe Adesanya or something. So I'm very excited.
Kyle Bohaya.
Or Bryan, yeah, exactly. Like some of these guys gonna be fighting for the belt soon. Just need to figure out who's gonna be. But yeah, I mean, there is like a big difference to me in this fight when I was watching tapes, and it's in the speed department. I think Imavov is going to be way faster than Allen, and I think that's going to cause him some issues. And I also believe that there's Imavov is a better chin than Allen, and Allen, I think he's a very good fighter. Like you said, 7 fight win streak, but he's 12-2 in the UFC and 8 finishes. One of his losses, he avenged his loss against Curtis, so. I mean, all respect to him, and he's only 28. They're both 28 actually, and Allen resume is better than Imavov for sure. But I think Imavov, like you said, he's kind of turning a corner now. He's a better fighter than he was a couple of years ago. So is Allen, because Allen at first he was like just a grappler, and then he was just trying to strike. He had this issue in his career, and now he's putting everything together, which is pretty nice to see. Um, Good kicks, like you said. You said that Imavov is way better on the front foot. I agree with that, but I also think that Allen is defensively on the back foot is not good, man. So
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried
yeah,
about. Like if Imavov's going forward and Brennan's going backwards, like those are the situations where if I take this dog shot, I'm gonna be screaming, circle, like get him going back, because like I said, like when I started to cut you off, but like when I started breaking down this fight, it all comes down to who's dictating the pace of this fight. That's literally comes down to that for me.
I do agree with you because I think the power of Imavov at distance, if Allen's on the back foot, we've seen him getting cracked before, we've seen him getting knocked out. That has been the issues for him. So props to him for not getting finished by Curtis, because let's not forget he got hurt 2 times in that fight. And you know, I backed Curtis in that fight. Watching it live, I thought that Curtis won. On rewatch, I think the decision was correct. I think Allen was the rightful winner, but it was a very close fight. Not to do MMA maths, but I bet Imavov against Curtis, and I think he was cooling him. Like,
dude, you won that bet. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, minus 125 then too. Like the line was closed, and I mean the way he was looking in the striking in the clinch. You make good points about the close range of Imavov. I do agree with that. The elbows, the knees in the clinch. I think he's very good with that. So, and he is. I also love that since he switched camp, he's not at MMA Factory anymore with Fernand Lopez and all these guys like Sirigan and everything. He went to like his own way. He did some training with Chimaev. Like the guy really wants to go to the top, which I really respect. He gained some size in the last 2 fights. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was for the Cannonier fight. The fight before, people were like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
It was the Buckley fight.
The Buckley fight, yeah, right. So he talked about it in interviews. He's like, he said that he could be making 170 if he wanted to. So he decided to just gain more weight and be fighting at 185 rather than cutting to 170. So the guy is super tall. The way I look into it and with the lines, like you said, it's kind of funny because they're both 28. They both have similar frame. They're both top ranked fighter, and one of them was like minus 200, minus 250, and that's where I'm being boring, but I need to tell the people, like you said, that I mean we're betting numbers at the end of the day, and if you're picking Imavov or you picking Benoit to win. If the price is too high, you need to be very confident that he's going to finish, or you need to be sure that there's value on the line at the end of the day. I know recently I talk about that a little bit on my podcast. I know recently it has been working. All the favorites are winning and everything, but you know it better than me. A long-term game, it's very important to like pick the right spot and everything. And so the way I look at it, I'm like, I think Imavov has a good chance to knock out Allen here in this fight. But if he doesn't knock him out, I don't think he's going to cover this price tag. That's kind of how I see it. If it goes all 15 minutes, I'm very positive that Imavov is not minus 2xx, you know. I'm not confident that Allen's gonna have grappling success, especially early, which is why I'm not like really willing to bet him here. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna get cracked at some point in this fight. So he does have good recovery to his credit, but I think Imavov is such a sniper, with the speed, with the timing, the in and out movement, the distance management, the footwork. He's the one fighting in Paris here. People are gonna be behind him. And the last time he fought in Paris, man, he went all in on Buckley. He gassed out in round 3, but he went all in with the pressure and he wanted the kill. So I think he matured since then, which is good. But yeah, I think he's gonna win the fight, and I think that he's live to knock him out, like I said. But man, if he doesn't knock him out, the fight's gonna be way closer than the lines indicate. Allen is not an easy fight, and he's one of his toughest fights so far. If you don't count, if you don't, I mean, he fought Cannonier last time out, but all the other fights, I mean, Allen, like you said, 7-fight win streak, very nasty rear naked choke, back takes, and everything, and his striking has come a long way. So I don't mind you taking a dog shot for sure at the price, man. But I'm gonna pick Imavov to win, and I kind of have a feeling that Allen's gonna be looking good, a little bit too much on the feet, have some success, not shooting enough takedowns and getting caught. That's kind of how I see it personally, but it's gonna be a good fight. I'm really
Featured bout in the featherweight division. We got Joanderson Brito. He's 17-3, taking on William Gomis, who's 13-2. And currently they got it. Joanderson Brito minus 280. The comeback on William Gomis is plus 240. So, Dravi, I talk about this often, man. When I see guys on Contender Series, I don't just watch the fight, but I also skip to the end to see why Dana White did or didn't sign a certain, the fighter. And firstly, on Joanderson Brito's Contender Series, not only did he beat Diego Lopez, who currently, according to the official UFC rankings, is a top 3 guy, Brito, and it wasn't like a back and forth fight either. Like Brito dominated Diego Lopez, and Dana White said that this guy could be like the next, big fighter out of Brazil. And since that point, he's on a 5-fight win streak. Is it 5-fight win streak? Either way, point being, he's proven Dana right, man. And the guy's a physical presence. He can, if he hits you, it hurts. If you hit him, it hurts. So I mean, it's one of those situations. And then also, he can pick you up and slam you Matt Hughes style. He's extremely physical, like I said. And even that fight he lost to Bill Algeo, I credit. I mean, firstly, it was 1-1 going to round 3. It came down to one scramble at the very end where he got his back taken. And when I'm scouting these prospects, I'm thinking, guys that could go to the top. I'm thinking more in terms of like how you do in a 5-round fight. And man, I mean, like if the whole thing is him gassing, like I don't really think I think that might be a little overblown. Like, does it look a certain way because he does throw 100% into most of his shots? Yes, but I think that there's a certain fight IQ and maturity, and there's a way he goes about things where I think this guy can be a future top 10 guy. I think he is that good. And I think that even though you could look at this as like a letdown spot where like you're on this big win streak and now you're going to this guy's hometown to fight him. But honestly, man, like I think that they're testing Brito. He's fought at the Apex before. He's fought in Brazil before. Now you're fighting in someone else's home country. So, it's good to give him these kind of experiences. Let's see how he fights internationally. And with William Gomis, I think that he's a typical low volume French kickboxer. He's solid defensively, even offensively. He's just very low volume and in tight margin decisions. It's going to be tough. But when you can go against someone who, can surpass his volume, and in this case, not just match him on physicality, but surpass him, outmatch him. That's what I think is going to happen here with Brito. And I basically, it was a long-winded way of saying I think Brito is going to come out here and bully William Gomis.
Yeah, you're probably right then, to be honest. Brito is not a guy that I'm really looking to fade normally. He's a guy that I've backed more often than not. Like you said, he's a physical beast, big power, good leg kicks also. I think that he's doing a better job kicking the legs these days. Ask Jack Shore about it. He's going to tell you something. So, and yeah, man, the wrestling and the grappling is a big part of his game too. He's very good with it. And like you said, the cardio, top of my head, I kind of remember him like 2, 3 fights ago. I was like, the guy's gasser. He's gas back. But watching back the Algio fight, I'm not so sure that he's a gas bag or just a gasser. Like you said, he's making a lot of mistakes when he's tired. That's more of the thing. Like he can still fight. He's not going to quit on himself or anything, but he's making way more mistakes defensively when he's getting tired after 7, 8 minutes. He's not as good with the takedowns. He can be taking down himself. It is normal when you're tired, but with his style, I think it does affect him more. So I am worried for a 5 rounds or something. Like I think he was scheduled to fight Danny Gay. So for him, I do think it's a letdown spot though. You had the Danny Gay fight to prove yourself in the top 15, and now they're making you fight Gomis in Paris. I don't think it makes sense for him, to be honest, after the win streak he's on. But I also think that Gomis can be a tricky fight for him. Let me explain you why. Brito never fought someone similar style to Gomis. You know, he fought wrestler before. He fought. You could say Feely's a similar style, but they're
Nah, he's not, because Feely takes a lot of risks. Like this could be frustrating for Brito because Gomis is so defensively sound and like risk averse.
Exactly. And the way I was looking into it, I was going into Terry, so I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna have some interest in Brito finish or something. But the more I look into it, I think the big cage gonna be a factor here. Gomis, he's a winner in a certain way. It can be boring, but he's a guy that I think in the big cage, it's a big factor for his fight style with all the movements and the footwork that he used. And I think Brito is a guy that's going to shine in the small cage more than the big cage with his style. And the defensively, the defense that you said, I mean, on paper, I think Gomis has like a 75% striking defense at the UFC level. You know, it's pretty impressive. And Brito, he doesn't mind getting hit. You know, he trusts.
But Yanis Gemori and who else?
Jaron Aarons.
Okay, Jarno's no slouch. Okay, I'll give him that. But Jarno and Brito, you know, but still,
and Marshall.
I agree with you. I agree with you, though.
Yeah. What I was trying to say is like he didn't fight a beast like Brito. Like obviously that's a step up for him for sure. But you know, he's very hard to hit. You know, with his footwork, with everything that he used, he can make Brito frustrating at distance. I do think, and you know, Gomis is the taller, longer fighter here, fighting at home. So there's a path for him for sure. I do think that he can have success at distance, and I think that I also believe is I think this guy is way better than what he's shown in the UFC so far. Watch his Instagram, watch the way he spar and videos on YouTube, watch the way he hits pad. He's very, very, very fast, first of all. And like he's someone that openly said in interviews in French that I've listened to is he was fighting not to lose and securing another contract more than like winning. And he's like, I didn't show everything that I got. Like I know in the gym what I can do and everything. Maybe it's because he was stressed, but he said I was really fighting not to get embarrassed, not to lose, which is very different. Now he sounds very confident about this fight, which is surprising, good for him. But he's like, I'm very confident, and I'm gonna knock this guy out. He's like, I'm gonna knock him out with a knee when he's gonna rush in, and he does have good knees to his credit. And Brito, I think maybe there's a case where he doesn't respect Gomis. He's trying to pressure him like a madman and end up getting caught. That's a fight. Anything can happen. The Algio fight, I thought that Algio had a lot of success at distance, especially in round 2, 3 with the striking. But Brito had a lot of success because he was landing the takedown and everything. But I think Gomis has better takedown defense than Algio. We've seen Algio as a good fighter, right? But his takedown defense has never been great. And Algio's striking defense is awful. That's kind of the thing also. He loves to get hit. I think Gomis is going to be way harder to hit, and I don't think that Brito fought someone like that recently. So, I think it's going to be an interesting fight. And Gomis is plus 240 right now. Everybody's piling Brito, so I'm just waiting. You know, I'm being patient, and maybe I'm going to buy at the top price of Gomis. I have a feeling that he's going to win this fight and get the upset, but it's very hard, like I said, to bet against the madman in Brito. But he's the one traveling all the way to Paris. Fighting a guy who's going to be fighting at home in his, hometown and everything. And like I said, I think this guy's. It's more of I really do believe that he's better than what he's shown so far. I think he does have some potential. And I think he's going to have a speed advantage, and the footwork and the defense might cause some issues to Brito in the big cage here. So I'm going to pick Gomis for the upset.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. I definitely think that if Brito and Algio ran it back in 2024, that
Oh, yeah.
Brito would knock his ass out. I think they were meeting at a different time. But to your point about the whole, fighting not to win, fighting not to lose, excuse me, as opposing fighting not to win, I think that guys on this card with similar styles, like the French low output kickboxers, Farez, Ziam, Taylor Lapilus, like I think that you can say similar things about them to William Gomis. Like they're all technically sound, defensively and offensively. It's just kind of a little risk adverse at times, and we'll get to Ziam soon because I have a lot of hopes for him. But anyways, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Bryan Battle, he's 10-2, taking on Kevin Jousset, who's also 10-2. I said Bryan Battle's 10-2. He's actually 11-2 because you and I know he won his last fight, and currently they got it. Bryan Battle minus 185. The comeback on Kevin Jousset is plus 160. So a lot of people have been impressed with Kevin Jousset because if you actually watch his regional fights, like people know him now as like this city kickboxer and all that. But like if you watch his regional fights, his striking wasn't on point. He was known for his judo. He's a French judo guy. He actually fought Jack Della Maddalena on his regionals. And like, even though he ended up getting busted up, dude, he sent Jack for a ride with a judo throw in that fight. And listen, he did his thing against the YouTube boxer Kiefer Crosby, and he picked apart Song Yadong, a Keenan Song, excuse me, who is a very low output kickboxer. But listen, he passed those tests accordingly. Now he's getting a step up in competition. And Bryan Battle, I got to give this guy so much credit because when he came into the UFC, he was so damn raw, so damn green. And man, since he's dropped to 170 pounds, I have been seeing the progression. Like he paid his dues in that Renato fight, and ever since then, he's a guy that can overcome adversity. He can come back in fights. He can dominate fights like he did in his most recent one. His striking's gotten a hell of a lot better. Like his striking used to be a liability, and I guess against higher level guys it might still be. But in that last fight, like my boy was out here switching stances, using nice range. I was like, okay, Bryan Battle, because I'm used to him being like one of those grimy guys where like you drop him, but he's still there. Then he takes your back and chokes you out, and stuff like that. Like I was at the Gabe Green fight. Like Gabe Green went full like Cody Garbrandt, like never go full Cody Garbrandt. You know what I'm saying? You remember Cody versus Pedro Munoz? He approached it like that. And then the Sato fight was like a 40-second head kick knockout. So you can't really take much from those, but like I did take the fact that like he's handling these guys accordingly. He overcame adversity in that Fletcher fight. Listen, Fletcher might not be UFC ready, but Fletcher usually always has a hard first round. And even against Angelusa, Fletcher had Angelusa wobbling all over the place at one point in that fight. So even though Fletcher didn't get the wins, he still had some tough fights with these guys. And I like how Bryan Battle handled that. I loved how he handled Lusa. And when Jousset, I like that his striking is recently developed. He seems like he's very calm, calculated, but I still have questions about where he's at right now. I think Bryan Battle's paid more dues, and I think that Bryan Battle is going to surprise a lot of people with how well he does standing here. But if he really wants to, solidify this one, I think that you got to be careful about certain things when you close the distance on a guy like Jousset, because he does have those judo throws waiting for you. But man, I think that solid wrestling and solid jiu-jitsu beats solid judo all day. And I think that Kevin Jousset is going to take a valuable learning lesson on Saturday, but I think it's one he's going to bounce back from. I just think that Bryan Battle's been, paying dues a little bit more than Kevin Jousset, and I think he's slightly ahead of him. So I got Bryan Battle here.
Yeah, it's another fight. I think it's going to be close, this one. Dan, I was going into tape early on this one. Battle was like minus 135. I wanted to bet him before tapes, but I ended up passing on him after doing it. There's a couple things. Like I backed Battle last time out against Lusa. I got robbed. Let me tell you that. And Lusa, I have a lot of respect for him.
You didn't get robbed on your street credit of that pick. Like no, like it's not like you picked Lusa.
Yeah, but I think I got robbed still. I think he was on his way to finishing, which was very impressive. Was his best performance to date.
Well, firstly, he did finish him.
Yeah, they put it that way.
I mean, I watched a fight and one guy decided not to continue. That means that he finished him. So fuck these officiators. I'll go on forever. Keep going.
I don't disagree, bro. And what do we know about Lusa? Then he's a very tough guy, man. I mean, he went all 15 minutes with GDM. He's not someone that's gonna find the door normally. So he didn't have success against Battle, and he was ready to find the door. So that, I mean, it shows you something, right? So like you said, Battle, man, the improvements that he's made recently is crazy. Like he dropped a full weight class. He was out of shape. He's now shredded. So props to him for that. But also the improvement is his striking, man. Like his striking looked way better. He does have power now. He didn't have much power before that. And yeah, the footwork's good. The defense is better. But I think they are very similar striker, to be honest. Both guys have good jab, good leg kicks, and I think it's going to be competitive on the feet. The thing I don't like about Battle is we've seen him getting dropped and against adversity and stuff like that. Like I said, and you said that the Fletcher fight, right? So the only thing that I didn't like about this fight, he lost the first round. But why did he lose the first round? He was winning before losing it. You know, he got caught with a elbow in the clinch and he got dropped. That's what swinged around. And then I'm watching Jousset tapes and he did the same thing like 2 or 3 times against Sankana. So, and he's at a very good camp in city kickboxing, like you said. So I think they're gonna know that. They're gonna see in the close range Battle. He's very good at distance, Battle is, but I think in close range, in the clinch, he can be very hittable and he can get dropped, he can get hurt. Jousset, I think his chin is very, very good. Even though Battle, I think, has more power than him, I think that if there's like a knockdown in the fight, I think Jousset is the more likely of the two to have the knockdown. But then I think if there's like a submission or someone having grappling success, I think even though Jousset's like a judo black belt, I think Battle, BJJ, and actual grappling is way higher level. He turned more of a striker recently, but make no mistake, the guy grappling is super legit, you know. So how he choked out AJ Fletcher was impressive to me. It was a good submission there. So yeah, the guy does flash power Battle, but like I said, I really rate Jousset durability, and I also really rate both guys' cardio. I think they both have insanely good cardio. People probably don't know this, but I don't know if I'm gonna say it right, Dan. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You know the test we used to do in school, in sports, I think it's the beep test they call it.
Yeah. Kai Kara France won that on City Kickboxing.
Yeah, but I heard an interview when they all said Adesanya was talking about it. He said that Jousset is the one outlasting all of these other guys at higher weight class. Like,
so he's the best from the big boys.
Yeah, the best all the camp. Adesanya, everyone, is the last one on the test. So I'm like, okay, it does tell me something because he's training with athletes, you know. So that's good to know. And then I'm watching his tapes and I'm like, all right, yeah, the guy has very good cardio. You can see it, but to air that is like, okay, it does make sense. So I think Jousset's going to be there for all 15 minutes here, to be honest. And I think it's going to be a very close fight. I'm just not sure how much grappling success Battle's going to have. And if he doesn't have much, I think it's going to be like a 29-28 type decision. So with that being said, I have to lean with the dog. The price is coming up on him. He's around plus 160 right now. Again, he's the one fighting at home. So there's just some narrative that you can, you know, when you're backing an underdog, you want to look for. So the fans gonna love him. They're gonna be rooting for him when he does something. And he also said that he really want to prove a point here. He want to show that he's ready for the next step, for the next level. They both really respect each other, by the way, which is nice to see. I think they're really well matched. And I talk about the improvements that Battle have made recently. But like you said, Kevin Jousset's striking has come a long way too. And I think they're gonna exchange. Yeah, I think they're gonna exchange jab, leg kicks, and it's gonna play out close. But I don't see a finish here, so I think Jousset by decision for the upset.
I like this. We're going on opposite sides for the last 3 fights, so the fans are gonna enjoy this. And I have a feeling we're not gonna be on the opposite side on this next fight in the featherweight division between Morgan Charriere. He's 19-10, taking on Gabriel Miranda, who's 17-6. Currently, they got it Morgan Charriere minus 750. The comeback on Gabriel Miranda's plus 550. Firstly, can I hear someone with French roots pronounce Morgan Charriere, please?
Everybody got it wrong, Dan. It's Morgan Charriere, but it's not an easy one for you guys. I know. I've tried to make Pegasus said it. He got it the first time, but then he lost it as the pod goes on. But it's Charriere.
Yeah, but listen, everyone's saying Morgan. I said Morgan, so let's fucking go, bro. But listen, man, I think that this fight, I like Gabriel Miranda. Like, I got to give this guy a lot of credit. When you're a guy that you look, he's 17-4, so 17 wins. All 17 wins of all of those wins are finishes. 17 wins, 17 finishes. I think 14 or 15 of them are in the first round. I should start writing notes so I can tell you, but I like pride myself on like saying that on this stuff off the top of my head. But like either 14 or 15 of his wins are first round finishes, all 17 are finishes. And with Morgan Charriere, the interesting thing about him is he did get submitted once long time ago with like a heel hook. But besides that, the way this guy loses fights is like close split decision fights where like he's in there, but when he's winning fights, man, he's got 11 knockouts on his record, three submissions. Like he's a powerhouse, man. So he'll lose close decisions to really tough guys, but he'll finish guys that aren't on his level. And what I think is going to happen here is, look, Gabriel Miranda has a chance to finish this fight in the first 2 to 3 minutes, like he does in any fight. But if that doesn't happen, what I really think, the way I picture this fight going is, I think that Gabriel Miranda is going to start shooting from a mile out, and then eventually, after one of those shots, he's going to start flopping to his back, and he's going to start telling Morgan to come into his guard. Morgan's going to be like, no, get back up. Then the guy's going to start shooting more sloppy takedowns, flopping to his back. The ref's going to be like, get up. And then finally, Morgan, whether it's a body kick, whether it's something upstairs, I think he's going to put the guy away, and whether he knocks him out cold or he has to follow up with shots, I think that Morgan Charriere stuff a couple takedowns and get this guy out of there. I'm going Morgan Charriere to come out here and win in Paris.
Yeah, I'm not gonna waste too much time on this one. First of all, I'm high on this guy, Shaya. I think he has a good ceiling in the UFC. If you look on his record, it says 19-10. You're like, oh, he's probably not that good. But like you said, a lot of close decision in his career. But he's a guy that never said no to anyone. One of your boy Cody Durden's the same, right? There might be some losses on the resume, but you're getting better and you're learning from them. So. This guy Shire, he was not afraid to fight anyone on the regional, and a lot of 5 rounds fight too. So he's battle tested in the cardio for 5 rounds, and a lot of these fighters split decision that I thought on rewatch he should have won. So even the last fight against Chepe, I bet him there. So maybe I'm biased, but even on rewatch, I thought that he should have won. But it was very close. It was not a robbery, So it was like a very close fight. But we know how good Chepe is now, so it's like to go. He was on his way to win a war against Chepe. It was very impressive. But yeah, anyways, the difference here that in cardio and durability is massive. And in the striking too, it's like there's a massive difference. I think that the price is justified. Miranda could win this fight, don't get me wrong, but I think he's sub 1 or bust. And you can get plus 1,500 on the sub 1 for him. Probably gonna get like plus 2,000 on that. So if you want to throw a little something, you're like, I think that's really his path to victory. So I think Shire is going to knock him out personally. I think the body kick's going to be money. And yeah, this guy, we didn't see him getting hit too much when he's cutting to 145, but he's finishing all these people. But if the fight gets into round 2, 3, man, it's not even a fight. But even on the feet, it's not a fight. And yeah, Shire he's only 28, right? He has 29 pro fights. He fought very good guys, and yeah, I think the guy's gonna go far, man. I think he's gonna knock this guy out in Paris, like you said. So yeah.
Is there any truth to Gabriel Miranda going out there and possibly taking down Benoit Saint Denis? And did he might have rocked him in one of the exchanges?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But I think the difference is like Shaya in the striking is way better defensively than BSD, and BSD was just willing to like, I'm gonna go get the kill. I'm just gonna exchange in the pocket and no striking defense. Shaya can be reckless, but like, yeah, Miranda kind of like when I saw that fight on rewatch, I was like, yeah, he did have some success, but again, the difference in durability and dogging him in that fight was massive. But Shaya is a similar guy, man. He's not gonna be easy to finish, and I think his chin is next level. And I think that he's a very good grappler too. So I don't think Miranda can get him down. And if he can't, like you said, he's probably going to be on his back and welcome him to go there. And Chaya's going to be like, nope, get up, boy. And he's going to knock him out.
Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got a matchup between Farez Ziam. He's 15-4, taking on Matt, the steamroller Frevola, who's 11-4. And currently, they got it. Farez Ziam minus 130. The comeback on Matt Frevola is plus 110. And I was scrolling through the Twitterverse earlier, and I saw that my boy at Dravi _ dropped a bet on this fight. So, my man, take it away.
Yeah, man, and I like this steamroller here. Obviously, I post him as my free bet. I got minus 105. You know, I got some reverse Sylvie here. Doesn't happen often, but you can get plus 110 now. And I think that.
So that means you're adding. That means you're adding now that you got dog odds on someone that you're picking outright.
Maybe I will add, honestly, because with what I'm seeing now, it looks like the price is going to still go up. But we'll see where it goes, right? Yeah, so I don't really understand this line, man, to be honest. I know Ziam's a good fighter, a good kickboxer, way better defensively. I know you like him, but there's a lot of difference in this fight here. I mean, first of all, Frevola hit way harder than him, and he has way more finishing upside. I know Frevola has been finished a couple of times and everything, but watch against who he got finished, and then trying to see who Ziam finish in the UFC so far. You know, there's a guy who's. Go ahead.
No one.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a thing that I found interesting, right? I think that Ziam has made a lot of improvements in the grappling department in the last few years. And I think he was ready for the next step before his last fight. And then, Dan, I'll tell you something, man. The Pules fight was a terrible look to me, man. He got taken down like 7 times. He made terrible decision in round 3, pulled guillotine against Pules. He was losing minute on the ground. Bro, I thought that this guy was like ready for the next step, and then Pules, all credit to his grappling. You know, he has good grappling, but his wrestling is not good to me, man. So why was he taking him down all over again like that? And Pules had success in round 3. The guy doesn't have good cardio, I think, and so yeah, this fight to me was a big red flag. And then I'm looking at Frevola, and I like the fact that he fought people with a similar frame as Ziam before, even taller and bigger than Ziam, and Luis Pena and Turner. You know, he fought these big dudes before, and he was able to take this guy down. And Pena wrestling is better than Ziam, and Turner, his wrestling back then was not very good, but he's way more dangerous. So Frevola was able to take these guys down, and he almost had a guillotine in both of these fights, by the way. I know he doesn't have much submission, but he does have a good guillotine. And because Ziam look in the McKinney fight, like he got choked out, but like the guy was not fighting the hands. I think it was a bad look there also. So if Frevola like pull him into something, I think you could submit him. But on the feet, I think Ziam's gonna do the better work at distance with the kick outpointing Frevola. But Frevola, when he fought these taller, longer striker, he's always pressuring and getting in the inside, and he does have massive power, you know, to knock out Drew Dober and all these guys. You know, if anyone, I can't say that I don't give finishing upside to Ziam, right? Because Frevola chin is not very good. He's been dropped a lot of times. But the market is saying Ziam KO plus 200, which is like, what are we doing here? I'm pretty sure, Dan, I heard you in the past said that you're waiting for Ziam to get a KO. But like, plus 200, I was hoping to get like plus 500 or something if you wanted to bet that. So I really don't understand the pricing here. But yeah, I think Frevola is live to crack him in the pocket. I think he's going to have leg kick success. And also, if you look the guy that Ziam fought in his career, right, in the UFC, we're not going to talk about the McKinney fight just because he went to the ground right away. He got choked out, right? But all these other guys that he fought, no one, I think, hit hard like Frevola does. So does he have a good chin and a better chin than Frevola? Yes, but I don't think he's never been hit hard like he's going to get hit here. And Frevola, you know, he's a brawler now. He loves to bang and get this TKO, but he said openly that he knows the game plan here, and he want to mix in. You want to go for takedowns here. He said he want to teach the French boy how to wrestle. So I think if he fight intelligent here, mix up the wrestling, make Ziam second guessing himself, I think Frevola has all the wrestling upside. I think that he has more finishing upside. I think he's more dangerous, and I think he could win by KO, sub, decision. And I think that Ziam path to victory more than likely is like a 29-28 competitive decision. A mean KO can happen like a head kick or something Frevola has been cracked before, but the guy's a dog. You know, he's gonna be hard to finish if he doesn't put him out. And yeah, I think Frevola will win this fight. I think the line should be flipped. I think he should be around minus 150, around 60%. But the market's saying the market's saying otherwise. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe they are, but we'll find out.
Yeah. So let me ask you two questions. Who's got more finishes on their record, Ziam or Frevola?
It's probably Ziam because I think he had more in the regional, right?
It is Ziam. 0 UFC finishes, but on the regional, he has more finishes than Frevola has in his regional or UFC combined. And I had another question for you, but I forgot what that question was going to be. But let me let me say, oh yeah, I remember what the second question was. The second question is, when was the last time that Matt Frevola went past round one?
I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yep, 2021. So this dude, like, he's got the wrestling capability to come out here and grind fights, but I felt like that's something he used to do in the past. And I don't know if he got criticized for it or what the case may have been, but like, man, he just likes to go out there and slug. He's a fan favorite, get those bonuses and whatnot. But I'm not going to disagree with you in terms of like Frevola being an absolute dog. Like if I were to disagree with you, that would actually, I can't disagree with you because you spoke facts. So that would be like ignorant for me to agree with you about, to disagree with you about Frevola and what he brings to the table. He can absolutely mix it up here. But where I do disagree with you, man, with you saying the Puelles fight was a red flag, I actually disagree. I thought that it was a big step in the right direction. Let me explain to you exactly what I mean by that. So I can concede the fact that he got taken down 7 times. There's no questions asked. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. He got taken down 7 times, period, point blank. But in the past, when he's gotten taken down, whether it was the McKinney fight where he got choked out, or who McKinney, by the way, knocked out Frevola in like 7 seconds. So a common opponent. But that's not the point I'm making here. The point I'm making here is that when he got taken down against McKinney, couldn't get back up, got choked out right away. When he was in full mount on bottom against, was it Luigi Vandermini, who won that 3rd round big and was on top of Ziam, and Ziam couldn't get back up? Like, that was a big red flag. But the reason I think the Puelles fight was a big step in the right direction was because, look, he got taken down 7 times, which I can't argue with you. His takedown defense is not very good. You won't get a debate. But where I will say that I've noticed improvements is that his get-up game and his defense, his submission defense, has gotten a lot better. The fact that he got taken out 7 times and he got back up 7 times was very impressive for me, because in the past he would have been held down. So it seems to me like he's a lot better at getting his butterfly hooks in, scooting back to the cage, wall walking, getting his whizzer, getting back up, and then disengaging. So that was like a huge, like, just like a sign of like, okay, this kid's improving for me. And then the guillotine, dude, I don't know. I know you didn't like it, but man, it seemed like that guillotine, like Claudio was a little worried about that. It seemed like that might have been like, a really deep attempt, especially against the black belt whose only path to victory is on the mat. Like, so to even attempt that against someone like him, and it looked pretty decent. I didn't think it was a bad thing. So the way I see this fight going is, look, you got to give Frevola so much credit. Like you mentioned how like he's fought guys with this frame before, Pena, Turner. I was at that Turner fight. Look behind me, that poster right there, Izzy and Kelvin and Dustin and Max too. Frevola versus Turner was on the prelims of that card in Atlanta. So I was at that fight. I even picked Frevola to win that fight. The thing is with this one, man, like you said, you mentioned how I've been waiting a long time for Farez to get that first UFC knockout. Man, I have. I mean, this is a kid who, didn't he win the K1 when he was like 19 years old, got to the UFC when he was like 21. Now he's 27. Now he's starting to become a man a bit. Like, they haven't credited him with any knockdowns yet, but I kind of felt like he dropped Claudio Puelles in that fight and they didn't award him a knockdown for it. So kind of like you were alluding to earlier, who was the French fighter we were talking about that you said was kind of playing it safe and now he's taking more risk? Who was that again?
William Gomis. Yeah, they're similar.
Sorry, who?
William Gomis.
Oh yeah, Gomis. Yeah. Like Gomis said that. Yeah, like I got to the UFC, I was nervous, and now and I was playing it safe, fighting not to lose as opposed to fighting to win. Now I'm going to take more risks. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what I want to see from Farez Ziam. Because if you go back to half the battle, maybe 4 years ago, I've been looking for this guy's first knockout, and I really believe he's got the chance to do it. Frevola is a guy that's been dropped in numerous amounts of fights, but I absolutely believe that Frevola hits super hard too. I mean, he's a guy that knocked out Drew Dober, but we must bring up that Drew Dober is not only a different stance than Ziam, Drew Dober being southpaw, but Drew Dober is like 5'8", and Drew Dober likes to eat one to give one, whereas Ziam, 6'1", long, rangy, keep it on the outside. Frivola's gonna have to close distance. He's gonna have to take risks. So on the feet, this could be the first time that Frevola gets knocked out. On the ground, I do think that Frevola is going to land takedowns, but where I disagree with you on the Puelles fight is that I actually did like the fact that Ziam was able to work his way back up. Like I said, get that wizard wall walk and then separate and disengage. So if he can do that here, I think he's going to come out here and get the better of the striking against Frevola. Whether this is his first UFC knockout or not, that remains to be seen. I'd love to see it, not because I want to see you lose it better, I think just because I've been scouting this kid Ziam for years, and I want to see him, I think he's talented, but just hasn't shown it. Just hasn't shown what he's fully capable of. I want to see a little bit more, but all respect to Frevola. Him and his brother, they follow me on Twitter. I got nothing but nice things to say to them, to say about them as people. And I love watching Matt fight, but betting is just business, bro. It has nothing to do with any of the other stuff. And I'm going for Ziam here. I can't confidently say I think he's going to get his first knockout win, but I'm going to pick him here, and may the best man win. Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Ivan Cutelaba, he's 17-10, taking on the newcomer Ivan Erslan, who's 14-3. Currently, they got it Ivan Cutelaba -125. The comeback on Ivan Erslan is +105. So Ivan Cutelaba, the Hulk, we know what to expect from him. He comes out hard early. There have been some instances where he's been able to win extended fights, like the Devin Clark fight and whatnot, but besides that, he usually comes out super hard early, and if you weather a storm against this guy, you can probably get him out of there. With Ivan Erslan, kind of reminds me like a white Jimmy Manoa. Like, dude, his hands are nasty, and when he starts to find his range and he smells any kind of blood, he will tee off on guys. Now, some of these KSW fights are super hard to find, so I wasn't able to watch the fight where he went 5 rounds, but I asked 2 people who are from Europe who were able to watch those fights what exactly happened. 2 people that I respect, and they literally told me 2 separate things that happened in that 5-round fight.
I got it for you, bro.
Hold on. Before you tell me, let me tell you the 2 things I heard, and you tell me which one, if there was an in between, if one was right and one was wrong. But one of my friends told me that Erslan got taken down and could do fuck all, could not get up. My other friend told me that 99% of the fight was striking. So I don't know who to believe. Tell me what the deal is.
Yeah, the fight was on the feet for like 95, 98% of the time. I think maybe 1 or 2 takedowns, but yeah, it was not on the ground whatsoever for the majority of the fight. So yeah, it was actually a banger, Dan. I mean, he fought a lot of adversity in that fight. The guy that he fought, he's a good fighter. It was 1-1 going into round 3. He got hurt and he got dropped multiple times in that fight. Okay, so he got dropped, I think, 3 times, right? So one time it was like with the jab. But the thing that I've noticed, and with a lot of these fights, I was able to find a lot of his fights. So if you have questions, you can ask me. I've watched, I think, the majority of them. And the guy is just a dog, man. Like, I've seen him getting dropped, and his recovery, like his chin, I don't think is very good. Let me just tell you that, because he can get dropped by like jabs and some shit, but the guy is a dog, and his recovery is insane, man. I'm telling you, like, you can drop him, and he's gonna be right back up, and like nothing happened. And that's exactly what I want against a guy like Cutelaba, because Cutelaba, good hammer, terrible nail, right? If you drop this guy and he's getting right back up and he's punching him back, he's not gonna like that, So this guy Erslan, you mentioned he has good hands, man. I think he also has like a boxing background. He does have some nasty power, man, and he's pretty fast. When he decides to go an unload combination, man, you go for it, right? But let's go back to the 5 rounds fight, right? I was talking about. So he was on his way to lose the fight. He fought a lot of adversity. Like I said, he got dropped a couple times. But he came back and won the 5th round, like we talk about Moicano, right? So his cardio checked up there. He looks good in round 5, even if he got dropped 3 times before that. He didn't quit on himself. And the dude that he lost to, right? Ibrahim Chudyagaev, I don't really know how to say this name.
No slouch, no slouch.
He's 19-4, Dan. But the thing that I've noticed is he's never been knocked out in his entire career in 21 pro fight. Because, man, this guy Erslan, he cracked him with some bombs. And this guy was like unfazed. Well, what is this? So I was kind of curious to watch his resume. Never been put out. Makes sense now. Yeah, man, I think the fight it was not like a good look in the way that he got dropped multiple times, but it was a good look in the way that he can show me 5 rounds cardio and he can still win the last round in the fight that he's losing prior to that. So he lost the fight 3-2. It was a good decision, but a lot of hard show in that one, yeah, right? There's also a fight where he lost by sub, right, in round 2 a little bit. I think it was before that. Let me just check. I don't say anything stupid. Yeah, it was before that against Narkun, right? It was a club and sub. He got dropped and then he got submitted. He couldn't recover in that one. But yeah, I've seen him, like I said, getting cracked, getting dropped, and recover pretty well. The thing that I'm the most impressed with is the jab. We don't see a lot of fighter at 205 fighting technical behind a jab. Like, it just doesn't happen. This guy is technical. He has a good process on the feet, a very good jab. He's good defensively. And like I said, he's very fast, a big power. He can be patient at times. I know people are going to see all the KO1 on his resume, but he can be patient. He can try to find his shot. But even if he's hurt or if he's on the back foot, he has some nasty counters. So you need to be careful. And I think that he's going to get exposed in the grappling in his career eventually. But
wait, hold on. You got to tell me what the grappling is like, because all the footage I could find was all stand up, and I loved what I saw. Like, I think he can knock Ion Cutelaba's head off. And not only that, I thought that this guy was UFC ready in like 2022. So, but please tell me what exactly are we dealing with the grappling?
BJJ wise, that's hard to say, but I don't think
takedown defense and get up game.
Got you, right? So the takedown defense I think is good, and the get up game seems very good, right? But I only see it like for maybe 5-6 times, right? That he get somebody try to shoot on him or he got back up. With what I've seen, it looked good. But the time that somebody got his back trying to choke him out, it looked like the defense is not there. But for a matchup like this, I'm not worried because Cutelaba, he could potentially take him down, but I don't think he's going to hold him down. And I'm not worried about the sub threat, you know. So, but I think eventually it could be a worry in his career in the grappling. But he's a guy that, you know, training at American top team with guys like he's pairing with Rosenstruck, with Diego Santos. So he's around good guys for a long time, you know, good friend for the division. I think he's good. And I also believe that he's ready. Like you said, he fought good guys in KSW, you know, he fought some guys that looks to be hitting good vitamins, like I said.
Those Flintstone vitamins that he's been harvesting the garden of life fruits and vegetables.
There's one guy that he fought, man. He was like massive. He was shredded as fuck. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, anyways, like I said, I think this guy is pretty good, man. And Cutelaba, you know, he has a lot of experience, been in the UFC for a long time. But at the end of the day, the guy is 6-9 in the UFC. Good competition, very good guys that he fought, right? But we've seen him quit in fights that things are not going his way. We've seen him gas out in fights that going late. And I don't know if you know, but he's not at Extreme Couture anymore.
He's in Moldova with his people.
Yeah. I don't like that, man. I don't like that. Like, I think it's not good because coaching-wise and everything, I think he needs a good team around him. He's kind of a madman, you know, but yeah, the guy, obviously, you know, he has power, he's dangerous, but I think that's a bad matchup for him because if he tried to wrestle early, he could finish him with like ground and pound, right? He's dangerous when he's doing that, but I don't think he's going to do that. And then I don't think he's going to control him for a long period of time. And if you try to wrestle too much, he's going to gas out. This guy Erslan's not going to gas out. And as the fight goes on, when Cutelaba make more and more mistakes, Erslan's going to be there, still with the hands up, still technical, and I think he's going to catch him eventually. And like I said, if Erslan get dropped or get hurt in that fight, he can still win the fight. No doubt in my mind. If Cutelaba get dropped or get hurt, he's not winning this fight. So yeah, I think he should be the favorite, even though that's a UFC debut. Uh, me and you both had the same hope on Zellhuber when he made his debut, and then back in the fight before that, the fight after that. So I think we both cashed on it that time. Uh, by the way, what a fight that he had last time out, Zellhuber, man, my goodness, the guy's a warrior. But yeah,
And
anyway,
Ribovich.
yeah, man. So banger of a fight. There's some of my friends who are not watching MMA, and I'm like, I want to show you something. I'm showing them the third round of that fight where it didn't go down. I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, anyways, I think Erslan should be the favorite, even though strength level competition on the Cutelaba side. But like I said, this guy fought good guys on the regional, so I think he's ready around a good team at ATT. I think he's gonna have a good game plan coming in. I'm not so sure about Cutelaba. And yeah, man, I like him quite a bit, to be honest. I'm worried about the chin, like I said, but then you show me that you got that dog in you, that you can recover pretty fast. And he can, like, there's some people that have dropped him and trying to rush to finish him, kind of like Cutelaba does. And they got cracked right away. He's still there. So, yeah, man, I got him to win here. Another underdog.
Yeah, this is one I'm with you on. Obviously, there's certain concerns, but it's not like we're dealing with a favorite here. It's the underdog against there's certain guys you don't lay chalk on, and Ivan Cutelaba is one of them. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the white Jimmy Manua, Ivan Erslan. Now, next up in the 205-pound division, we got a matchup between Oumar C. He's 10-0, taking on Dawoon Jung, who's 15-5. Currently, they got it. Oumar C minus 450. The comeback on Dawoon Jung is plus 350. You know what's funny about this matchup is that if this had happened maybe 2-3 years ago, Dawoon Jung would be a favorite here, and I'd actually pick Dawoon Jung to not just win this fight, but to sleep this guy. Like Dawoon Jung at one point, this guy was a serious light heavyweight prospect, especially for being Korean. You'd never seen a Korean light heavyweight prospect. And like this guy was on a run. He knocked out Kennedy and Zechuku in the first round in easy fashion. He had overcome adversity in fights. He had beaten Russians. Like he did some things on his come up. But ever since that Jacoby fight, he just hasn't been the same. And it's not a matter of winning or losing, because you can look good in a loss. It's a matter of that Jacoby fight took away all his confidence to where I don't see the same Dawoon Jung that I did when he was that bright prospect. For example, in the Jacoby fight, like Jacoby's like a serious like glory kickboxer. And yeah, I know that Jacoby's gotten caught here and there, but like Jacoby's not an easy out, dude. Like, especially back when Dawoon Jung fought him. Like that's Jacoby was, making a run and whatnot. And like in that fight, Dawoon Jung is like taunting him, is like playing around, and like even had some success of his own until he got caught. And you could tell he was ultra confident. And after he got hit with that shot, he's just never been the same. Like the Devin Clark fight, that's someone who I would have thought for sure that Dawoon Jung would not just beat, but would like embarrass. And the one that got embarrassed was Dawoon. It wasn't even getting embarrassed by getting hurt or anything. You got pinned up against the fence for 3 straight rounds and landed a total of 18 significant strikes in 15 minutes against the guy in Devin Clark who's super beatable. And then the next fight against Olberg, like, there were some fun moments, but it just looked like Dawoon is just like a step behind what he used to be in confidence. And like, then you get guys like Olberg who, he's known for striking. He's coming out here trying to test out new areas of his game. Like he can clearly beat him in stand up, but he wants to come out here and like see what his ground game's like against this guy. Like, I think that whatever happened to Dawoon mentally in the Jacoby fight, he's just never been the same. And it's unfortunate because I did have high hopes for him. And with Oumar C, listen, he's 10-0, which is sketchy because no one's exempt from that first L. And there are holes in this man's game, but he's a physical freak. If he can get you down to the mat, he's nasty there. But I do have questions if he gets down Dawoon works his way back up, then they're at range. Like, I think Dawoon can actually knock this guy out. But, man, with the confidence level that he's at right now, I don't know how much fight he has in him left, to where back in the day, I'd be confident that he'd get back up from these takedowns, fight him hard, and then keep going. But here, he might get taken out and might check out. So, look, if you want to take the big dog odds, the plus 350, because you feel like, hey, if you just give me a glimpse of the old Dawoon, like he's got a great chance here. But like based off the Devin Clark fight and the Olberg fight, and again, it's not about losing to Olberg. Olberg's a stud. That's not the issue. It's how he lost. It's not the same guy. So hopefully he's seen a shrink. Hopefully he's gotten his mental stuff together, because if he hasn't, Oumar C is going to come out here and probably dominate him on the mat. So I'm going to go Oumar C for the dub, but I would love to see a semblance of the old Dawoon Jung.
Yeah, I share the same feeling as you here. I don't think he's the same guy as he was before, and maybe it's because of Jacoby fight. Actually, I didn't think about that before, but it's a good point. I think it could make sense because I don't think he'd ever been put out before that, and then he got knocked out for the first time, and you can see that he was kind of lost getting knocked out, right? He didn't really know what happened, and yeah, so maybe that's that because the guy is obviously like he's a big guy, he's a good striker, but he got taken down a couple way too much against Clark. I know it was like 3 or 4 to 10 or something, but like you said, Clark's very beatable. I thought that he should have won that fight like prior to the fight, and then after
Like,
that,
brother, it was 3 takedowns total, 1 per round. It was literally like, hey, you take him down 1 time, you win the fight. Like, that's not the Dawoon we used to know and love.
yeah. And I mean, you can see that he has some upside. The guy's not like you said. He was the guy at some point, and he's only 30 years old. So maybe there's some hope still on him. But I think that's kind of a matchup where C should have his way with this guy, because what he's going to do is going to try to shoot takedowns. And difference between him and Clark is C actually can finish the fight. Good rear naked choke, good back take, a good ground and pound as well. On the feet, I know you need to go back to see his striking, but he's not a bad striker. He's kind of technical, but you can see that he's not like very comfortable on the feet yet. But he's a hard worker in the gym. I can tell you that. He's a guy that's training every day, trying to get better, trying to master his craft. He's a guy that's going to be improving from fight to fight. And yeah, he's also a super athlete. I said that Jung is like a big guy for the division, but I mean, they're both 6'4" here, but I think C has like a 83 reach, which is kind of crazy, right? So yeah, I think he's the guy, the undefeated guy with all the confidence, fighting in his own town, with the massive grappling upside here. I think he should get it done, but it's also not a price I'm willing to pay here.
Damn, 83-inch reach. That's like getting close to John Jones. Let's see if he can figure out how to use that at some point, because damn. Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got a matchup between Ludovit Klein. He's 22-4, taking on Roosevelt Roberts, who's 12-4. Currently, they got it. Ludovit Klein minus 900. The comeback on Roosevelt Roberts is plus 600. I mean, don't you love what you've seen from Ludovit Klein lately? Like ever since what fight?
The Nate Landwehr fight. Or maybe even the Herbert fight, we can say.
Honestly, I think it's after the Herbert fight. But I say that, but like there's been glimpses like the Mason Jones fight, the Shane Young fight. But like I think what we're saying here is there's been like inconsistency. But from the Ignacio fight to the Moises fight, like those 2 performances were like, oh, so now like the mental is starting to meet the physical, and that he could be a potential future top 15 guy, because he's always had nasty attributes. He's a great athlete. His high kick is disgusting. Like now we know he can go 3 hard. Like his confidence is sky high. I'm still on the waiting list for an appointment with his doctor. And with Roosevelt Roberts, man, like I got to give him a lot of credit. He's had his first UFC run. He went back to the regionals, got the wins he needed. He's back. He's long for the weight class. I mean, if you're not on your game, you shoot a sloppy shot. He's got some long man chokes. If you fight him from his range, he can do some things. But ultimately, we're dealing with the number 20 lightweight on planet Earth taking on the number 140 lightweight on planet Earth. And I think that the odds reflect that. So I'm going to take Ludovit Klein to extend his win streak. You can make the argument it's a letdown spot that this guy deserves a top 15 opponent. But listen, it pays the same to fight Roosevelt than it does to whoever else they would have matched him up with on this card. So get your paycheck, enjoy the holidays, and come back in 2025 and start your title run, kid.
Yeah, it's gonna pay even better when you get the 50K after knocking him out, So
Make weight.
yeah, I mean, since he moved up to 155, to 155 pounds, then I think that's what we're trying to say, right? Because
He's so locked in, so locked in.
hey, man, like the body transformation. I mean, all credit to him and his doctor, obviously, but he was a guy that was gassy at 145, bad weight cut and everything, and he decided to go like, I'm gonna go to 155. I'm gonna build myself up and be a new guy. And man, I mean, it worked out very well. The BAM on this fight, incredible look. Um, the cardio also, like I love that he's going 15 minutes and looking great doing so right now. The speed, the power, the techniques, the takedown defense. I mean, everything checked out from this guy. And Robert's like 6'2", and they have like the same reach, which is interesting. But Robert's a guy that we've seen getting cracked by not good guys like Kroom and not really good guys. He's decent at distance, but he can get cracked, he can get hurt, he can get finished, and I think that's a spot where, like you said, I don't really think the fight makes sense personally, like you said, but I think Klein just an opportunity to knock this guy out and add another name to the resume. So I think he should knock him out. The price is justified, like you said.
Yeah, and I doubt this was the original matchup, man. I think
No, it was not. It was not. I'm pretty sure it was.
yeah,
I think it
yeah.
was.
Nick Mata.
Yeah, but doesn't
Even,
make sense either.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to, get his, like, just get him some highlight reel knockouts. Maybe someone else was booked. You never know the case, but either way, he's trending upward, Ludovit. So
You know the nickname, right? Mr. Highlight. So
yeah,
maybe that's that.
Mr. Highlight. Let's get another highlight. So next up in and like you said, it was really interesting to hear that a 5'7" guy and a 6'2" guy have the same reach. Like, that's pretty crazy. But next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Taylor Lapilus. He's 20-4, taking on Vince Morales, who's 16-7. Currently, they got it. Taylor Lapilus -350. The comeback on Vince Morales is +285. Taylor Lapilus, just like we said with Ziam, just like we said with William Gomis, like, solid French kickboxer, like fucking good everywhere, like just a little bit on the lower output. Sometimes, you see with how gifted he is, with how athletic he is, you want him to do a little bit more, but he does just enough to win in a lot of these fights. And with Vince Morales, Dravi, if you would have told me a year or two ago that Vince Morales is going to be back in the UFC, I'd have been like, oh, all right, bro. Like, yeah, okay. So to see what he's done on his regional scene, like, you handled everyone accordingly, you put on that win streak, and now you're back. And you love to see stories like this, but now, Dravi, the feel-good story does it come to an end or not? The reason I'm asking is, do you buy this whole Vince Morales is a brand new man, or do you just see it as that's how he performs at the non-UFC level? Now we're going to get back to reality against Taylor Lapilus in Paris, France.
I think that's a tough fight for him. He's taking this on short notice. That's a quick turnaround. It's not going to be easy, but I think he signed 4-5 deal with the UFC, so that's his way in. So all respect to him. Very impressive what he's done. He's not a guy that I was very high on in the UFC, but I was looking into two things when I was watching the fight that he had since then. A, does he know how to shake leg kicks now? And B, what did he change in his game? And the answer of the first question is not really. He did shake some of them, but you can see these guys are still having leg kick success, And the what he changed is I think he's grappling more now. He's trusting his top game more. The front chokes are going crazy, and yeah, I think he evolved as a fighter, even if he's older. He's like, what can I do to get better? Which I really respect. When things are not going your way, you're not winning that much, what can you do to improve? And this guy said, I need to grapple more. I need to work on my sub game, make this guy second guess themselves, and then it's going to open up my striking. It's going to open up, so all respect to him. And I just think it's a tough fight, Get back to the UFC, kid. Go fly in Paris, fighting Lapilus. Quick turnaround after you just had a fight. But he said that he's not going to have problem making weight. He's always a guy who's training and always in shape. So that's that. But I think Lapilus is a very good fighter, to be honest. I'm high on him. Very good striker, very good defense, in and out movement. Good takedown defense, good get up game. Just a fun fact though, he has 7 fights in the UFC if you count the other that he had. I saw a stats when I was watching his last fight. He got taken down in all of his 7 fights. So that just made me pause a little bit. Just this guy can get taken down, and he has good get up game. But there's I think 2 fights. One it was in the backshot fight, and the other was I think in round 3 against Steinman when he was flat on his back and it looked like he was like, oh fuck, what I'm doing now. I didn't like that, You as a grappler, you probably know what I'm talking about. But seeing a guy like Moraes, who, the Dars choke, the front chokes and everything, he's working on that a lot. And Lapilus being taken down in all of his fights. So I think that we can see a world where Moraes have some grappling success and can potentially put this guy in a position that he's not comfortable with, So more often than not, I think Lapilus win. I was like, maybe they gave us a decent price on Lapilus decision, but it's minus 150. It's ugly. I'll give just a fun prop here. I didn't play it myself. I just don't really think the number makes sense. If I project Morales to have some grappling success, and I think that he has some submission upside, what do you think they line the sub prop for Morales, Dan, if you had to guess?
Sub prop for Vince Morales here?
Yeah.
His money line is what?
Plus 285.
Plus 800, 1200?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Plus 1200 range, but it's plus 2000. I think it's kind of disrespectful. But
I don't think he's doing it. Obviously, we're talking about plus 2000s.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think the fight go to distance. I think Lapilus win a decision, but we're just talking fun number, right?
No, I got you.
And I think that Lapilus is gonna kick the legs and beat this guy going decision, probably winning like 29-28 or 30-27. But sometimes he can fight close, and if Morales get on top or get his neck, sometimes I'm not saying he's gonna sub him, but I think he should be like maybe plus 1000 range or something, but plus 2000, it's not a bad shot.
Yeah, unless Vince Morales has gone through some big physical transformation at the UFC level, I just think, no disrespect, but he's a bit of a weenie. Like, he's been leg kick TKO'd in fights. I know Chris Gutierrez hits extremely hard, but he's been badly hurt to the legs in other fights. And like his big claim to fame is like he got his ass beat by Song Yadong, but in the 3rd round, Song gassed from whooping on Morales, and Morales landed a couple shots on Song in round 3, and everyone acted like it was this big deal. But the reality is the guys that Vince is winning, against are the Louis Smolkas of the world. And I just think that Taylor Lapilus plays it too safe. Going to take no unnecessary risks. Jab, jab, circle, circle, leg kick. If he wants to mix in the occasional takedown to throw him off, I can see that, or just feint the level change. But just a low output French kickboxing unanimous decision for Taylor Lapilus.
Yeah, just before we move on, Dan, I'll say the 30-27 against Steinman is impressive to me and was a tougher fight than Morales. So I think that he's improving in his game. And the last time you went to Paris, the fans were going crazy for him. They loved him. So every time he's gonna do something in the cage, you're gonna hear the fans going nuts. So just a little something for the judges. So.
Yeah, and Cody Stamen is a tough out, someone that's not the easiest to look good against. And Taylor Lapilus' strike output was one of the higher it's been in his UFC career. So fantastic point there. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Ailin Perez. She's 10-2, repping Argentina, taking on Dariya Zheleznyakova, who's 9-1, repping Russia. Currently, they got it. Ailin Perez minus 235. The comeback on Dariya is plus 200. Do you think Aileen's going to be twerking, landing 10 takedowns like the Argentine female Khabib? Or did you ever watch Dariya on MTV back in the day? You think Dariya maybe can stuff some takedowns and use those long range strikes? How you see this one going down?
Yeah, man. I mean, Dariya last fight is just a terrible look to me. I backed her in that fight, and she made me sweat in round 3. I don't know what she was doing at the end. Like 5-6 spinning back fists in a row. It was a terrible look. And Rendon is not a guy that not a girl that I rate at all at this level, right? The fact that she was able to land takedowns and make her face bleed like that. She didn't even she didn't even hit her hard or anything, but the body language, she was just running away at time in that fight, and she got caught. She was bleeding all over the place. She won, props to her, but maybe it was the UFC debut, right? But I just think it was a terrible look. She's someone who I don't think has very good takedown defense, who's not good on bottom, and even like on the regional, you watch the fight against Melissa Dixon. I think the fight should have gone to the round two, if I'm being honest. Like it was kind of an early stoppage, but still, she had no answer on bottom. And then the last fight, man, I mean, she got taken down, I think it was in the first round, was like 30 seconds left or something. She didn't even try to get back up. She just holding her, and so I maybe she's gonna be improving because she's at MMA Factory, which is good camp to train your wrestling, I think, in France. And after that bad performance, even in a win, I hope she's been improving. I know she has good bodies to work with, and in this camp. But yeah, Perez has massive, massive wrestling upside, man. Like it's crazy. She's gonna take her down pretty easily. Now it's like, could Dariya potentially like clip her and have some success on the feet because she is the better striker, obviously. And we've seen Perez slow down in round three before, so maybe Dariya can do enough damage in one of the first two rounds to like steal the round, and maybe she win the third. So I could see a world where she wins this, but man, I can't ignore the wrestling upside of Perez and the fact she's gonna dominate the fight on top pretty easily, early and often. So I think Perez is gonna win the fight, but she's not really a girl you want to pay a big price against. She can be dumb at time, in my opinion. But yeah, so I do think she win, and the fans gonna get the twerk at the end.
Perez has been making big improvements, man. She's landed 18 takedowns in her last 3 fights. And in that Jocelyn Edwards fight, the thing that surprised me the most was that she dropped Jocelyn Edwards. I like, if you would have told me that someone was going to get dropped, I'd be like, oh, Jocelyn's going to drop Ailin, and nope. And also a big improvement from the Cutelaba fight to the Edwards fight was what happened in round 3. In round 3 against Cutelaba, that's the one where shit got sketchy, right? It was the Cutelaba fight in round 3, right? Yeah. Round 3 and the very next fight looked fine to me. So I think that she's trending in the right direction. We know about her takedown game, but now the hands are starting to catch up. And obviously, she's not on Dariya's level standing. Dariya's long for the weight class, 5'9". She's got the reach. You keep it long, and Ailin wants to test her stand up at that range. Dariya's got an edge there. But the thing about it is that Dariya also got finished in the first round by Melissa Mullins, who someone on this card, finished, Nora Cornoli. So there's been times where she's gotten taken down and couldn't get back up. So she's gonna get taken down here. It's just a matter of, can she capitalize on, weathering a storm and having Ailin fatigued, where Ailin starts shooting from a mile out and then's forced to stand up and then starts getting picked apart. Yeah, that's Dariya's path, but I'm gonna go with Eilin's path to female Khabib this girl and just put up the takedown numbers, Next up in the flyweight division, we got a banger between Daniel Barez. He's 16-6, representing Spain, taking on Victor Altamirano, who's 12-4, repping Mexico. You guys know the deal. When you got Spain versus Mexico, a lot of pride on the line. These two are going to throw down. You got Victor Altamirano. He's minus 125. The comeback on Daniel Barez is plus 105. I love this matchup, Dravi. Victor Altamirano, I'm a fan of. He doesn't have the most orthodox style. He's a little funky, a sidekick, some spins. He's been mixing in some takedowns here and there, some funky scrambles. Like, he's a lot of fun to watch. Fights with a lot of spirit. And Daniel Barez, I'd say that he had one of the top 3 fights in Contender Series history. Sodiq Yusuff versus Mike Davis, Raulian Paiva versus Alan Nascimento, Carlos Hernandez versus Daniel Barez. I think those are the top 3 Contender Series fights. So we know that this guy Barez is a dog, and that was on Contender Series. What about like 10 years ago when he fought Manel Cap on his regional? He actually whooped Manel Cap's ass. It was kind of a weird ending. You guys got to pull it up, but he whooped Manel Cap's ass for like 4 minutes, and then there was some kind of weird, I don't know exactly what happened, how it stopped, but there's it's like such a bootleg video that's tough to tell. but I saw him whoop Manel for like 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Um, so this is a guy that's paid dues. You know, I felt like that fight against Jafel Filio, he was doing really well early, and Jafel Filio is the kind of black belt you end up in a bad spot against him. It's not a red flag. Jafel Filio arguably submitted Moikaev. I know Moikaev never tapped, but ask his knee how it felt after that. You know what I'm saying? You saw what Jafel did to Ode Osborne, like when he's not fighting a Mokaev, like what he does to guys on lower levels, like gets them out of there right away. Like Jafel is a problem on the mat. So him tapping out Barez after overcoming that adversity is not a sign that Victor is just going to take this guy down one time and submit him. I see this being an honest 3-round fight, and the whole Victor has to weather a storm and take over late. I think that's fake news. I mean, if you watch Victor's last 2 fights, I don't want to sound like I'm ragging on Victor. I'm a big fan of his. I bet on him against Salvador, and I love watching him fight. But as a betting man, I got to keep it a buck. His last 2 fights, he slowed down in the second and third rounds in his last 2 fights. And I think that Daniel Barez, yeah, he might have lost that split to Carlos. Both lost splits to Carlos. But if you watch Carlos's fight with Victor, I'm not sure that was a split. Whereas Carlos and Daniel, that was a real dogfight. And even though he kind of fatigued late in the fight, Danny still pushed the pace late, man. So I think he's a kid that's really paid his dues, and I think I might be interested at Dog Oz to come out here. And I think he edges a close decision on European soil.
Yeah, it's a fight I don't have the strongest read on. I can see it played out a couple different way, but I do lean the Perez side. I was kind of, sometimes you're picking someone you're not very confident on your read. The line is close. I'm like, I'm just gonna pass. But when I decided that, he was minus 120. Now he's plus 105. So
exactly,
it's getting interesting. You know what I mean? So I like the guy boxing in the pocket. He does have power. He goes to the body. Good cardio, like you said. He's a good fighter, man. Like I like him overall. And he was whooping that ass of Philo, man. I backed him in that fight. I was like, I think he could put him out and hurt this guy. But on the ground, like you said, Philo is a legit black belt. Altamirano, not that level of grappler, obviously. So yeah, Altamirano is a guy that's, like you said, he's fun to watch, but he's kind of weird to fight also. Like the movements, the kicks, and everything. Like it's kind of weird, right? But I think Altamirano is gonna have some success at distance. But I think in the pocket, man, I think Barez is gonna piece him up. So I don't see a lot of wrestling going on. I think they could both land takedowns here. So I don't really give. I think Barez could potentially land more takedowns, but I'm not like super confident about how it's going to play out in the wrestling or grappling. But I do favor Barez on the feet personally. I think that he also has. They're both very tough, right? But I think Barez hits harder and is more dangerous. So I'm going to pick him to win. But like I said, it's not like. If the price go up again a little bit, I'm going to be interesting to play him for sure. And now it's just a pass for me, but I'm going to pick him to get it done.
Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Jacqueline Cavalcanch. She's 7-1, taking on Nora Cornole, who's 8-1. Currently, they got it. Jacqueline Cavalcanch minus 185. The comeback on Nora Cornole is plus 160. So, Dravi, this is a rematch. Did you by chance get the opportunity to watch their first fight?
Yeah, it was a banger.
Can you tell me what happened and why? Like, we know that Jacqueline won via unanimous decision, but did she win all 3 rounds? What exactly happened?
Yeah, I mean, she almost finished her 2 times. Like, it was a level fight.
Cavalcanti almost finished Cornole, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she hurt her pretty badly in the first round, and she hurt her again, I think, in round 3. But she got buzzed. Cavalcanti with a spinning back fist. She got dropped by Cornole, but she was just piecing her up. It was just a level fight. Cornole had some moments. It played out on the feet almost all the fight. Cornole got 1 takedown, but she didn't do anything with it. But it played out on the feet all the fight. But it was a banger. It could have been stopped. And I mean, watching the first fight and telling me the over is minus 350 or something. I think it's minus minus 350. I can get there. I think there's going to be a violence fight. So there's some context to put on the first fight people probably don't know about. I've listened to some interviews about Cornole because she's a girl that speaking French, so all the shit she's doing is in French, and also started MMA late and everything. So I wanted to know a little bit more about her going into this fight. And I found like she has a kickboxing, Muay Thai background, everything. We know that, right? But she in 2019 she had an health issues where she gained a lot of weight, and the doctor told her that she couldn't fight again, probably. So for 2 years she couldn't train at all. So she gained weight, everything. I don't know how the health issue is called, but basically the doctor told her like you can start to think about something else. You're not going to be fighting again. So somehow somewhere she's able to get back into MMA, but 2019 to early 2021 she couldn't train. She was out of shape, and she was not thinking MMA in her head. uh, and she had the Cavalcanti fight only like 6 months after that. So just to put into consideration, because I don't think she looked good physically in the fight, and think that she's improved a lot since then. um, Another thing is, before she got signed to the UFC, she was ready to make it a career, to call it a career if she didn't get the call to the UFC, just because she was not making enough money. And she was like, if I'm not going to the UFC and going into the next step, I'm not fighting again. So just little things here and there about Cornell, background, history, and everything. But yeah, to talk about the girl, she's mean, she has power, she loves to fight, obviously. And now that she's in the UFC, she's like, I want to go all the way to the top. She really wants to do this. She knows she's older, but I think she's the girl that I've been. Calvacanti look like she did improve, but she looks very similar in the first pro fight compared to now, compared to Cornell, who I think improved more since the first fight. And I think why she's a big favorite is probably because, yeah, she already beat her and everything. But I'm a big believer in rematches to go differently, even if it was a long time ago. So I think the big cage, I said this about the Gomis fight, right? I think the big cage is good for Cavalcanti style. I back her against Nunes, and it was the small cage, and someone scored 30-27 Nunes. It was bullshit, excuse me, but just the way like the way she fights. Sometimes she can be in close fight. She can not pushing the finishes and everything. She can be on the back foot. But there's two things I noticed here is Cardinal. I don't think pressure enough to beat Calvacanti. To beat Calvacanti, she's gonna need to pressure, go on the inside, and trying to make it dirty. And she doesn't do it enough for me to back her here. And Calvacanti, the taller, longer striker, is gonna do the better work at distance. I don't think we're gonna see much wrestling on either side. I think maybe some clinching, but Calvacanti is the more polished striker of the two, the more technical girl, the girl who's better at winning minutes. But I think Cardinal can steal moments, and they can both clip each other. I think they're both live to hurt the other. So I wouldn't. It's not a fight I'm willing to pay a big price on Jacqueline, to be honest. Like minus 185 or something. It's not a price I'm interested. I think she's gonna win the fight, but I think it could be close. And the last time Cornell went to Paris, I don't think she won her fight, but the judges said she won it. So just some things to take in consideration when you're fighting the girl fighting at home with all the fans going her way, and she's the underdog. It's not really. When I don't see like a clear big advantage on the other side, it's not really my thing to fight the other girl. So I think Cardinal wants to be there. I think she's a little bit more dangerous, and her last finish was pretty slick against Melissa Mullen, who we just talked about a couple of fights ago. So, but I'm gonna pick Jacqueline to win this. But just also to consider, I forgot she's taking this on short notice, Cavalcanti, and she fought last month. So quick turnaround, short notice fight, traveling all the way to Paris. So she's very confident in this fight, obviously, but I think she might be surprised in the improvements that Cornell has made. And she's also the girl that has struggled to make weight before. It's not an easy weight cut for her. So I know she's training, look good on Instagram and everything, but yeah, just a couple of things to consider when you're back in almost a minus 200 here.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, you mentioned all the X factors in terms of the flight, the short notice, all that. The first fight, you addressed all that. Well, what I will address is just stylistically how they match up. I just think that Cornell kind of has lower output and is more reliant on like big moments. Like for example, you watch the Jocelyn Edwards fight. where like she'd be on her back, but then she'd like explode and reverse the position and get on top. You watch the fight against Melissa Mullins, she wasn't actually doing that great in that fight, but she had that one big moment with that body kick, you know. So she's a big moment type fighter. And like you mentioned in their first fight, she was kind of getting it put on her, but then she had one big moment there, right? So she's a moment type fighter. And also how you mentioned on some of the earlier fights, her being the French fighter, that, you know what I'm saying? Like the crowd's going to go crazy whether she lands or doesn't land. But one thing you didn't mention was that Cavalcanti, she's actually from Portugal. But does she train in Portugal or does she train in Brazil? That's what I want to know, because if she trains in Portugal, I mean, the flight ain't anything crazy. But if, I mean, how far is Portugal from Paris? But if you're talking about Brazil to Paris, then we're talking about a serious fucking flight. So, but either way, that's not what my analysis comes down to. That's just a little tidbit to throw out. But I just see that, you know, I like the fact that Cavalcanti throws with a lot of volume. She's done that now on more than one occasion in her 2 fights. She's got good movement, speed, just good fight IQ, can play the matador against the bull, which I think she's going to have to do here. And I think she did it against someone that hits even harder last time with Nunes. So I see Jacqueline Cavalcanti winning a unanimous decision here. Now, next up, and last but not least, kicking off the card in the lightweight division, we had a matchup between Belgium's Balaji Oki, he's 9-1, taking on Chris Duncan, who's 11-2, repping Scotland. Currently, they got it. Just depends where you look, but Balaji Oki -210. The comeback on Chris Duncan is +175. I mean, I gotta give Duncan a lot of credit, man. I mean, the guy's a junkyard dog at times. He said he wants to be the next Gaethje and be exciting like him, but then after he said that, his very next fight against Oumar Morales, he was humping legs. So he can be like the most exciting fighter in the world, like in his Charlie Campbell fight, or he can be the most boring fighter in the world, like in his Oumar Morales fight. But look, the guy's definitely been making improvements, got out of his comfort zone in Scotland, here in Florida, you know, at ATT. So I like that. And like, if you're not quite on the level of a Chris Duncan, he's going to expose that for sure. But the thing about Balaji Oki, he's still very green. He's still paying his dues, but man, he's got some attributes. Man, he's got some potential. Like if you watch, like, so he fought Dylan Salvador on Contender Series, and I'm very familiar with Salvador because, I mean, officially he's from France, but he lives in Atlanta. So like I've been in the training room with Dylan Salvador before, and that dude's got a fucking aura about him. That dude beat Giga Chikadze in a pure kickboxing match. You know what I'm saying? Like Dylan Salvador is a bad boy. And like I was thinking about betting Salvador in that Balaji fight, but when I watched the tape on Balaji, like he's a physical freak, man. His takedown defense has been getting a lot better. When he finds his range standing, he's nasty. And again, he's only had 11 pro fights. Like how old is this kid? He's 28. Okay, he's still in his 20s. He's not 23 like I thought he might be, but still got that UFC debut out the way. Now you're going to be seeing, you know, the comfort that he knows he belongs, big improvements every single fight. And I think talent-wise, technique-wise, all that, I think he's got Duncan covered. It's just a matter of Duncan can be one of these junkyard dogs that if he's still conscious can take that whooping up front and start to pin you up against the fence, then start to land knees on your thigh. Then he finally gets that takedown after he's tempted it 5 times. Then you can't get up because you've defended so many takedowns that you're exhausted. Then he starts to grind away. Like you drop him the first round, you whoop his ass but can't finish him, and then he kind of lays on you or holds a gassed out version of you the next 2 rounds. Those are the kind of things I'm worried about here. But other than that, man, I think Balaji has the chance to come out here and starch this man or make him look really bad. So I all respect to Duncan. I'm a fan, but I'm going to go with the potential of Balaji Oki here in this spot.
Yeah, I also agree with you. And I mean, respect to Duncan. He's following me, retweeting my stuff in the past. I have a lot of respect for his fighting style. You know, the guy's a dog, like you said. He's going to fight for your money if you're betting on him, that's for sure. But yeah, I think he's kind of outmatched in the striking here, to be honest, especially in the speed. You know, Duncan I think he's a decent striker. He's a good worker on the feet. You know, but He's not very fast, and Oki is very, very fast with the counters and everything. I like when a guy, like you said, is still young in his career, but shown A, very good power, and B, he goes to the body, which I like. The Salvador win, very good win. The fact that he put him out like that, pretty impressive to me. And yeah, he's a physical beast, like you said. Good takedown defense, good sprawl. I'm just worried if Duncan has a wrestling success and he gets on top. I think Oki on bottom, his get up game and just his grappling overall. I don't think it's very good, to be honest. Not to say Duncan's like a maniac on top or anything, but if he gets his takedown going in round 2, 3, he's on top of this guy. I think he can have some success. But yeah, I think Oki is the much better striker, the guy with more power, with the more with the more speed. I want to say faster. I was just searching my word. But almost every fight, Dan, you're watching Duncan. He's getting hurt in almost every single fight. Even Samaraya's, he got hurt. All of these fights get hurt, and you don't want to get hurt against Oki because he's gonna finish you. You know what I mean? And he's a guy that if he hurts you, you're trying to cover up, you're trying to recover. Like if Duncan shoot a bad takedown, he's not gonna get the takedown. The sprawl of Oki is too good, and if he hurt him, he's gonna go to the body and he's gonna find a kill shot after that. So I'm gonna pick Oki to find a KO here. I was hoping for a better price because the under 2.5 is minus 144, but the KO is only plus 110 for Oki. So maybe on commercials the price is going to be better though. But yeah, I think he's going to get a KO here. I think the difference in speed and durability is pretty massive. I think Oki is too good of a counter striker, too fast, too athletic, and I think Duncan's too hittable and too slow for him, and it's going to get caught at some point.
Well, Dravi, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's been an absolute pleasure. The fans can follow you at Dravi_. What about YouTube? Where can they follow you there?
Yeah, it's Beat the Line Broadcast on YouTube for my podcast where we do show every week. But yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. Man, it's been a pleasure to go on your podcast, and I think that's a good card, because it's gonna be some fun fights and some betting opportunity. I hope people enjoy it also.
Yeah, and I hope you keep up the great work, man. It's getting down to the end of the year, and I got to pick a handicapper of the year, and you're definitely in the running, man. So keep up the great work, and not just the good results, but having a good head on your shoulders, treating people with respect, and respecting the game as well, most importantly. So much respect, bro. To all the fans. I mean, you know the deal, man. You know how much love I got for y'all. The support you guys have shown me since day one up until now is unbelievable. Smash the like button for me. Hit the subscribe. Leave me a comment. If you feel so inclined to share, I truly appreciate that. I'm on Twitter at Best Fight Picks, at Half the Battle HQ. I'm on Instagram at Half the Battle Pod. I hope you guys really enjoy the fights this week. Remember, I dropped a Contender Series video. So if you're catching this before Tuesday night, check that out as well. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.